the next thing that we're going to talk about in section 10.2 is we're going to talk about our United States rule. Our United States rule is going to be something that's going to help us find our partial payments, which is going to be the last example that we're going to look at in this section. However, before we get into that last example, we are going to talk about and do a little bit of work, just kind of practice using this table that's at the bottom here. So the United States rule says that if a partial payment is made on the loan, interest is computed on the principal from the first day of loan until the date of that partial payment. Right? The partial payment is used to pay the interest first, then it's used to reduce the principal. The balance on the date of the maturity is found by computing interest due since the last partial payment and adding this interest to the unpaid principal. So what we're going to end up doing in our last example, example 7 here, is we're going to be finding a balance due of an initial loan that was paid off in 3 different payments. So there were 2 payments before it was paid off in that final one. And we're looking for and kind of trying to figure out information as we go about those different payments. But again, before we get into that, we want to take a look at this table here. Right? So this table shows the days in each month. It's table 10.1 from page 577 of your textbook. You can feel free to look it up in your textbook, or in some problems it's going to pop up automatically. It might be handy to have one printed out next to you as you're working through a lot of the homework, so feel free to print this out as well. Notice that we have our months along the top and our days along here, right? And we go all the way from January 1st, which is the first day of the year, day 1, to December 31st, which is day 365, right? And then we have every date that's in between. So for instance, there's a couple of dates that are just randomly circled in here. This one here, the 74, right, is corresponding to March because it's in the column labeled March, and day 15. So this corresponds to March 15th. This other one over here, we are in our July row. We are in our day 13 row, so that corresponds to July 13th. So depending on the type of problem that we're doing, we may be looking up one day, we may be looking up a couple of days in this table, but we are going to use this table as we're going through our next couple of examples. Alright, so example 5, we're going to practice using this days in each month table. So we're going to use the table on the previous page to find the following. Right, determine the number of days from February 14th to December 25th. Okay. All right, so first we need to look up both of these days in the table. Okay. So February 14th, if we go to our February column and then move all the way down, could be handy to have, again, pen, pencil, maybe a ruler, whatever's easiest for you. February 14th is day 45. So we're going to remember that. We're going to write on our next page day 45. And December 25th, if we go all the way down here, that's day 359. So February 14th is day 45. December 25th is day, I said 359. Okay, now if we look at these, we're looking from the number of days from February until December, right? These are in the same calendar year. Since these are in the same calendar year, all we're going to have to do to figure out how many days in between is going to be a simple subtraction. Right, so we're going to take 359 minus 45, right, and we're going to get 314 days. So the number of days from Valentine's Day, February 14th, to December 25th, Christmas, is 314 days. Next, determine the number of days from June 14th to January 24th. Okay. So June 14th to January 24th. All right, June 14th, we go over to our June column down to the 14th. We get day 165. And then January 24th, January is easy. because the day actually lines up with the number. So January 24th is the 24th day of the year. Right? So June 14th, we just said was day 165. January 24th is day 24. Okay. Notice that unlike the previous example, we're going from February to December and we're moving within the same calendar year. Right? Then in this case, we are looking at different calendar years. Right? Maybe we are taking out a loan this year, or we took out a loan this year on June 14th, and our payoff date is next January, which is in the next calendar year. So what we're going to have to do here is we are going to have to add the number of days in each year. So let's start with our first year. Our first year, we're looking at June, which is day 165. Right? So if we go from, basically we're going to split this into two different pieces. We're going to go from day 165 to the end of the year. All right, so day 165 to the end of the year is going to be day 165 to day 365. Those are in the same calendar year, so we're going to subtract. 365 minus 165 gives us 200. So there's 200 days in our first calendar year. Right? Then we want to look at the number of days in the new year. Right? Days in the new year, right, is just simply 24 because we are at January 24th. Right? And then we're going to add these two different numbers. 200 plus 24 is going to give us a total elapsed time of 224 days. So if we're in the same year, one simple subtraction, nice and easy. If we're in different years, right, then it gets a little bit more complicated. All right, then this last question here, we're also going to be using our table again. Determine the due date of a loan that starts on May 11th and the term is 120 days. Okay. So we're going to start by looking up May 11th. We go to our table. May 11th is day 131. Okay. So what we're going to do to find our due date means we're going to add the number of days in the term to our start date. So our start date is 131. The number of days in our term is 120. This is going to give us, right, day 251. Right, so then we're going to go back to our table. Looking in our table, this time instead of using our column and row headings, we're looking for the number 251 in here. We are in our September column, and we look like we are in the day 8 column. So day 251 is going to correspond to September 8th. Okay. So when we get to our partial payment problems, this could be something that could be useful to know how to find out. So just kind of keep in mind, remember we can use our table kind of both forwards and backwards.